Hey folks, welcome to the Xcode learning session, and today we're going to learn to build apps. So in this series what I'm going to do is I'm going to start building apps on a progressively more difficult level, and I'm going to start with very simple apps and move on to the next app as we go along. So the first app we're going to learn today is called IamRich, and this was a very famous app which was created by a gentleman called Hyman Heinrich, and he created this app back in 2008, and this was a very famous app which costed $999, and which basically did nothing. It was it was just an app with a picture, and you click on the picture and you'd see something like this. And I would show you how easy it is for this app to be created, and this was a rage at that point in time when iPhone had just launched, and this was one of those first apps which had come online. So without further ado, let's jump into it, and as we go along we'll also learn about Xcode and some of its feature. So that's the first thing. So let's get along with our app. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull in my Xcode. So here you go. So I'm opening my Xcode here, and here is my Xcode. So what you can do with Xcode is, and I'll remove this, and what we can do with Xcode is you can build an app from grounds up. So there are three options to build app, and the first option is there are three options with Xcode really. The first option is to start getting used to Playground. So Playground is, as the word says, it's basically an area where you go and play around with a sandbox. You create stuff, you destroy it, you create stuff, you destroy it. It's just learning Swift on Xcode, because Xcode is a compiled based language, so you have to use one of those compilers. So Xcode also happens to be a compiler for Swift language. So it's basically to write basic commands like variable, and that's just to understand how Swift 4 works. Xcode project, on the other hand, this is the one which uses the app capability of this particular software, and this is used to build apps. And third one is the cloning of an existing project, and this is basically used to clone existing project from some other repository. So we'll focus on Xcode, which is to create a new app. And what we're going to do is, when you open that icon, you get this single view application, and you get several other things which are not important for us right now. So you click on single view, and single view application, you create the name of the app. So I'm going to say IamRich. Okay, and you can choose a team here if you want to put this app in your iPhone. So I'm going to put it as my own name, because I'm going to put it on the iPhone and show you. And the organization, you can put any name here, organization, or you can put any name here as well, organization identifier. So I'm going to say IamRich again. If there is this is the one they use to sort of connect to the server and see if there is somebody else who's created it with the same name, and if there's a conflict they'll tell you, so you can change it there. And this is your local copy, so this name is for you to see. And here there are several options, like you can use Swift or Objective-C, so we'll stick with Swift. And when you say next, it asks you where to create the particular app. So I'm just going to use my default place and then create the app there. And when you do so, you get this particular screen. So this is your Xcode screen, and it's a beautiful screen, as you would see, and you can navigate around this screen to sort of play around with it. So let me just give you a quick preview of how Xcode looks like. So if you look at the entire Xcode screen, you can divide it into three sections. So section 1 would be this particular column, and the right side would be this particular column. This is the utilities areas, and this is where all your project files are displayed, and this is the area where you code. This is the area where you code, you put your data, all of that bit here. So that's how it's divided, and we'll get into each of these specifically as we go along. So first thing first, let's look at this the left hand side, and you will realize that it's got it's created some of the folders automatically, because you've used a single page view, and because of that Xcode has created the view automatically. But what is important here to realize is that the important screens that you should remember are the following. So the first screen I would say is the launch screen board. So launch screen board is the view, is this screen which you see. Now this screen basically is the screen which sort of comes to the view when you open a app, whenever you click the app. And once you click the app and you go inside, then the next screen which comes in is this. Now you could have the same screen for launch as well as main storyboard, that's up to you, but it's just a feature of Xcode. So this is the main screen where you view your app and you play around with your app. And the next thing to note is this view controller .swift file, which is this small icon with a bird. So this is where all your code goes. This is a area where we'll be typing the code and all of those functions. And then finally, the other important thing I wanted to share with you is this assets class. So this is where all your pictures and all of those assets will go into the library. So you would use this to retrieve all your assets. So these are the three areas. Now let's just get into the main storyboard and start creating our app here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this particular pane, and when I click here, I'm invited by these additional panes here. So there's another pane left hand side once is open, and this one has got highlighted. Now this one is called the attributes inspector. So this tells you how to play around. So this you can play around and you can change the attributes of this particular screen here, and we'll get into that. And the important one to note is, the next one to note is that the screen below, which is basically called the objects library. So the objects library is where all your objects are. You can drag and put them there and use them. So the good part about Xcode is it's very intuitively created, and for a first time user I think it's a very good software, because what it does is that it sort of takes away all the groundwork or all the the dog work from you, and it sort of puts it into basic nuggets, like it gives you an object library where you can drag and almost play around with that. So you can really focus on the logic of the code. You can really focus on how the app should behave, rather than focusing your time in creating buttons and creating boxes and creating views and all of that. So that way Xcode is a good one to play around with. So here you would notice that there is a filter option. So if you type label there, you would see a label option coming up here. So we'll take this label option, hold the mouse and basically drag it here and leave it here. So what is a label? A label is basically a place where you can put your pictures, and it is what it means. So it's a label. You go and put your pictures, you put your files. It does nothing. It's a dumb thing. It doesn't move around. It doesn't do anything. It just stays there. So it just shows you what it is there, and you can write what you want to write there and all of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to say my app is called IamRich. So I'm going to type that, and there's a cool trick here which I'm going to show you, which is you will see that this automatically resizes. So sometimes it doesn't resize. So let's say I'm not able to see my label properly. So I'll click it on that, click command and equal to buttons, and automatically it will come up there. So this is my label. Now I'm gonna play around a little with this label. I'm gonna make it a little bigger. So to play around with this, what you got to do is you can go to the attributes inspector, go to systems and increase the font. So I'm going to change the font first. So I'm going to use some custom font, and I'm going to use size which is perhaps 40. And when I say done, it gets expanded. Now obviously I can't see it, so I'll do the trick again. It's command equal to, and here you go. So it's clearly put in there. And whenever you see these dots coming up, they are basically the alignment area. So if you want to left align it, or if you want to right align it, it will give you some sort of instruction. So even from that point of view, now you know that is exactly centered, so you can leave it there. Now this is for your label. Now next thing we're going to do is we'll put in a picture here. So again I'll go to my image in my object library, and my next object will be an image. So I can either type image here, or I can go and scroll image here as well. So it is alphabetically, you know, put. So if I go to I'm sure I'll get image. So it's got a lot of stuff, obviously. So I'm searching for the image part. Okay, here's image. So the best part is just to type it out, because you don't have the time to sort of search for it all the time. So again, you take it here and you leave the image right in the center, and you can resize it, you can reduce the size, you can do all sort of things with the image. Okay, so I'm just gonna put it on this particular size, and let's just create some background to this app. So this was clicked here, I'm gonna click somewhere else, and I'll go to the background image side into the attributes inspector. I'll go to the drop down menu and I will use others. So others will throw up this particular slider, and I'm going to use some sort of a color. So let's say I'm going to use this sort of a color here, and I'm going to play around with it. So I'm going to use this green color, sort of a greenish color, if you may. You can also use the hex code if you want to. So that's also a possibility. There are several possibilities you can play with. Okay, so now we have chosen a color. So what we will do is we'll put an image here. So the image that I'm going to put here is either I can right click, I don't have to right click, I go into the image view, and before I put in the image, I need to put some image in the assets category. So go to the left side, of Xcode, the leftmost column, go to the assets category, and here you go to app icons. So you got to put some icons in here and all those stuff which is there, and you have to then put in the image there. So the images that I'm going to pull in is, I'm going to probably pull some images from a file itself. So it says open the folder. So either I can go here and I can say open a file, and I can say window. Oh, I'm sorry. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here and I will open I've already got these images put in here, and I'm going to share the download link with you. So this is the IamRich image assets. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag all these images into my Xcode. So here's my Xcode. So here's my Xcode, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag my images here, all of these, and these will go here because these are the icons which are required. So we'll put them here. So you see automatically Xcode has identified. Now the way the icons are designed, they're designed in this particular fashion. So look at the naming convention. It is mentioned as icon 20 into 2x. So what it basically says is that this icon is of 20 pixel and it's of 2x size. So so these are basically the sizes 2x, 1x and 3x, and all these are basically the resolution that Xcode uses in your final app. So this will help you create a clearer app. So if you use a probably an image which have higher resolution, you should put it here in the 3x image. And what you can do is the image, so these are all icons which will show in your app when you load it up in your mobile phone, and the image that you see on top of that, which is what we're going to put in our app itself. So this is the image I'm going to put. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag that image and I'm going to keep it here. Okay, so this is the image which is being used. So this is my universal image. Again, I can have it for different resolutions. We'll not get into resolutions right now, but just remember that this is it. This is your image area. Now I go back to main storyboard and I use this pane to add the images. Now you'd notice that on the right hand side my attributes inspector is missing. So what I do is I go and add the attributes inspector by going into this top most corner, which shows the utilities area. Alright, so I come here in my UI images. So here you can see the image view. Now it says what kind of images you want to put there and what you want to show. So as you notice that since we have put the image already in our assets category, the image is showing here. So what I can do is I can simply choose the image and let it be there. Okay, so this is my image and this is my app. Now you'd see that the image is a little off mark and it is showing, it's not as small, it's a little big. So what I will do is I will go to the view size, and in this particular option, scale to fit, I will choose aspect fit. So when I say aspect fit, it will fit exactly as per the aspect ratio of the image via with the vis-a-vis the size of my icon. Now if I resize this, also the aspect ratio will not be corrupted. So in that sense, this will look pretty good. So this is my app. Now I'm not happy with the color, background color, so I'm going to change it a little bit. I'm going to make it a little darker. Okay, so now this looks kind of okay. Why don't we make it a little reddish? So let's make it red. Let's sort of make it really jar out, right? So this is your app now. And now there's nothing this the app does apart from the fact that it shows a label and an image. That's it. So your app's pretty much done. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload this app into the mobile phone. So for that you got to give me a second. Now what I'm going to do is this. Notice the option here. Now I have already loaded my phone. So what you do is you go and connect your phone to your laptop, your Mac, and you connect the phone's device will show here. So in my case it's showing at Sandeep's phone. You can also use a simulator to sort of, oh wow, we've got iPhone X also. So let's say I'm going to choose iPhone X or iPhone 10 as they say, and I can do a simulation here. So let's just try to play around with this and see how it shows in iPhone X. So if you click here, basically this is a simulator, so it sort of simulates that situation and it creates a app in a simulated environment. So here it says build is succeeded and here's your app. So this is iPhone X and this is beautiful. Oh, I didn't realize that iPhone X is also showing here. So the first time it loads, it's going to take a bit of a time, but next time it will be easier. So while it sort of loads up, let's just go back and look at other options. So let's say I've got iPhone X, but I can also see this option. Now, if I click this option, the app will automatically go into my phone. Now in your phones, what you have to do is you have to create the same options. What I'm going to do is I'm probably going to make another video where I'll show how to port everything into your phone. But for now, I'm just going to tell you that if you want to move it to your phone, it's pretty damn easy. So let's just use my phone here as Sandeep's iPhone. And when this build is complete, I will just show you it in my phone as well. So this is iPhone X. It's beautiful. It's pretty neat and clean. Obviously there's no home button here, which is fine, and this is your app. So it's loaded automatically, and I'm not able to see the icons which I'm supposed to see, and I don't know how to navigate this particular phone, but it's amazing. I mean, I can also play around with volumes here, and I can go back and click the power button. Wow, it also uses Siri. So this is another feature. I think we should play around with this sometime. Anyway, so this is amazing, I think. Wow, this is cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut this out because there's a huge amount of latency here now. So I go to simulator and I say quit simulator. So that's gone. Now what I'm going to do is go into my phone and create this app. If I click on this particular icon, then it gets created in my phone. So let's just do that right away. I'm gonna just give me a second. I'm gonna use one of the tools called QuickTime. So I'm going to use QuickTime to record my screen, and just hang on with me for a sec here. So I don't know why this is showing up. Okay guys, it took a while, but finally it's come. So this is my phone, as you can see, and what we'll do is we will now use my device here, Sandeep's iPhone, and I'm going to build it into my device. Now what I've already done, of course, in my phone is I've gone into device manager and I've created this particular created the profile here. So what I've typically do is go into my settings, and if I go into my settings and if I go into my general, you get this option here called profiles and device management. So when you go into profiles and device management, you can see that it has approved my developer profile. Now what I mean by developer profile is that when you go into Xcode, you have to create a developer profile when you begin on. So this profile is the one that you typically use when you start an app, and this is going to help you build your data into the app and all of that stuff. So we'll explain that probably in another video, but what I mean to say is that it's a very important exercise. So what I do is, this is a screen. When you go into IamRich, it tells you what your developer profile is. So my developer profile is this, and basically if I want to add an account here, you got to put in Apple ID and you got to add that there, and I've already done that. So I'm here, and so let's go back into my screen here. So this is my screen, and if I go back, this is my profiles management, and so that's how we go about it. So let's go back into the app area and just wait there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build the app in my iPhone. So my iPhone, the app is going to come into my iPhone now. So just hang on with me for that. So this is a free feature which Apple allows, that you can locally build apps. So previously this was not there, but now it is there. So as you can see, your app is built, and this is how your app's gonna look like. And this is on your actual device. So I'm actually clicking my actual device, and this is the app which has come here. Now what I'm trying to also figure out is if my icons are showing or not showing, and why they're not showing. Anyway, so my icons are supposed to show here. So this particular icon is supposed to show a picture of the diamond. So when I click on that app, you can see the app coming up on your iPhone. So this was a quick preview about creating apps. So let's just quickly go back into what we did now. So we opened the Xcode, we opened the single view application option, and we automatically got these which is the view controller, main storyboard, assets library, and then we went into the main storyboard where we changed the background color of our app by going to the background option and choosing a color, and then we added an image here. So before we added the image, we went to the objects library, we dragged an UI empty image option there, and we also added a label there, and we typed the name whatever we wanted to, and we could type it here or we could type it there, and then we also changed the color of that if you need to, or the size and the shape of that. And then we went into our assets category, we dragged the apps, the icons to the assets category, and from there once we put in all the images in the assets category, it was a very simple exercise of choosing the image from the image view here. So we dragged it down and chose one of the images, which was a very simple exercise for us. And once we did that, we went into this particular view mode and we chose aspect fit ratio, and that's the app which was created. And then once the app was created, we went to the build mode and we built the app using our iPhone, and we also used it using the Apple's the iPhone 10. So once we built the app, we chose the phone that we wanted to hear. So this could be one of the simulated phones, and this could be your actual device. So I chose my actual device here, and I put my phone there, and I had gone to, of course, my device management and enabled that, which I can show in a different video. But this is what we did, and then we click this button and we build the app. So it's a very intuitive and easy step of creating an app. In the next chapter, we are going to do a little more complex app. What we're going to do is we're going to create an app which will, interact with the user. So we'll have a button here, and we'll click that button, and something will happen to the image or the text. So we can play around with that, and that's going to require some amount of coding, and I'll be doing that coding for you, and you can learn as we go along. So this is an app I wanted to share with you. Now all these image assets, I'm going to put this into a link. So if you're interested, you can download this image for free and use this in your own app in Xcode. So thanks again for watching this video, and have a great day, and all the best to you.